Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to this webinar. It will be given by myself. My name is Clara, I'm a library technician, and by my colleague Camille, who is a librarian at the Polytechnic Library. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to write them in the chat. We will answer it uh, uh, we will answer it in the chat. Sorry, and do not try to write everything down. The webinar will be recorded and you will receive afterwards the presentation that we will be using. So just relax, you just have to concentrate on the screen and on our voice, and that's it. And if you have any questions after the webinar, do not hesitate. You will have our contact information at the end of the presentation.
Clara, are you sharing your screen right now? Because
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So we will start. And just to let you know, this is really an overview of how to do a search. So if you have further questions, like I said, you can write to us. Camille will explain to you some resources to go further in the research for articles. So this is what we will be covered today. We will have a look at our databases and the access to the documents. You will learn about the keyword search with Camille in the databases, and also learn about the cited reference search. So that's a big planning. Okay, so this is really a way to explain on how to access to our electronic resources. Via the library's website, you can access the database to which we subscribe to, and this access is reserved to the Polytechnic community. The database I will be talking about the databases, but it's the same thing as our electronic resources. So you know what I'm talking about. And it's the same thing for the other universities, like their electronic resources are reserved to their community. And to have access to the Polytechnic electronic resources when you are not on the campus, you need to configure your proxy on your personal device. I'll show you how to get the proxy. So you just go on the library's webpage, and here on the upper right corner, you can switch it to English. And you go here on services and the off-campus access section. So you see you have different browser options, or if you have a Mac, you can follow those instructions. And it's really easy. You just have to follow the steps in the PDF documents here and just reboot your computer. And after that, you will be good to have a look at all the electronic resources. If you are not on your personal computer, you're in a cafe, in a library, or at a friend's house, and you want to access some of our electronic resources, you can use the direct connection that will give you the option to connect to one database at the time. So here is an example of how it shows on our website. You have here the title of the database, and just underneath you have the green arrow here. And this is a link on which you can click, and you will it will direct you to a page where you have like a couple of steps to follow to make the direct connection. It's really easy, so it's helpful if you don't have the proxy. It's not available on all of the databases, so the proxy is still mandatory. Okay, so I said before that the electronic resources are reserved to the community only. So that's why if you try to search them on Google, for example, you try to search for some articles and everything, and you try to access some of the Polytechnic resources, you will not find them this way because they are part of a membership for some resources that we have. And to access them, you have to go here through our library's website, and you can have access to our databases and our discovery tool, Sophia. I'll just explain to you with what are those two. So if you try on Google, like Google, here is the invisible web, you won't find the information this way. There is another way for you to search for articles only, not book chapters or conference paper. You have on our main page, I showed you before, the tab or an article tab here, and you have the options here. The DOI options is really useful. I'm not sure if everyone knows what a DOI is. It's a digital object identifier, which gives you the option to have access directly to the article. It's a series of number that you can copy paste, and you will have access. For example, in Google, you will have access to the reference of the article. And if you copy paste the DOI here, you will have access to the article through our resources if we have a membership for it or not. So this is really useful to look for articles. I tried it a lot of times and it helps. Okay, so I spoke before about databases and Sophia, our discovery tool. So these are the two ways to search for articles. Sophia is our search tool for documents, both paper and electronic, that are available at Polytechnique, but also in the other Quebec university. It's a catalog that includes all the Quebec university. So as you can see, it's quite powerful, it's big, and you may find, you may have too many results in too many different domains. Camille will show you the difference a bit further, but so we less recommend it for you to search with the keyword search. If you have the title of the article or the title of the journal in which the article is published, no problem. You can use Sophia. This is a good tool to use. But if you're looking for a keyword search, you should go in our databases here. They are more specific to a subject. You may have fewer results than Sophia, but this is not the point. You want to have results that are more related to your subject. So that's why we recommend the databases. And I'll show you where those two are, so where you can find them. Okay, if you are here on our main page, I've been there before. So you see here, this is the basic search here in the on the main page. You have options here, and this is the article tab I showed you before. And you also have the option to do an advanced search. You have, I prefer this one because we have more search index options here. You can add more than one term, like the author and the title at the same time. This is really helpful. And you can here select a certain dates. That could be good. And at the bottom, by default, it's selected Polytechnique Montréal. But if you want, you can have a look in the other Quebec universities. Or if you are adventurous, you can go worldwide. But this could be a bit harder to get the documents. So we less recommend it. And our databases. You just have to go back on our main page here. And here you go on the first one. Oh, I'm in French now. Put it back in English. You just go on search tool and you go on the first one, databases. And so you have here, there are classified by alphabetical order. You can search by database type. So if you're, for example, you're looking for technical reports, for example, you just have to select this, and those are the databases in which you can find technical reports. And sorry. Okay. And here is the green arrow for the direct connection I was talking about before. So this here, you can click on it and you'll have the steps to follow to connect to the database. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. Okay, this is a little diagram to, sorry. Oops, sorry, I've skipped one. All right. Here is a little diagram to explain to you the content of the bibliographic databases. So we have some databases that you have access to references only. We have some databases here that we have access to the full text, and we have some hybrids database. When you see here full text database, it doesn't mean that we have access to everything that is in the database, but it's about the full text of the articles. So here it's the references only. You don't have the full text access right away. And this one here, you can find it right away. So this is the difference between those two. And the databases that provides the access to the references only are often disciplinary databases, and they will provide the access to multiple journals from multiple publishers. And here, the full text databases, there are often publishers databases, so only the journals from the same publishers will be available. Okay, here is the another picture of the content of bibliographic databases, but with some articles. So you see here some articles are in several databases, but not in all of the databases. That's why sometimes it's good for you to search in more than one database. And you have here the number 5 that is nowhere to be found. So this can happen, unfortunately. Maybe the article is too old or it's too obscure. So good luck to find it. And there also happens to be duplicates in your search. So this is something you have to look for. And this is really important. No database contains all the article. Because some databases like PubMed, which it's specialized in medicine, and we have Compendex and Web of Science, which are more, Compendex is more for the engineering field, and Web of Science is more related to the sciences at large. So you see they have all their specific topic. Okay, so you will notice in the results when you search in our databases that you have this document button. This is the link between the database and our resources. So when you're going to click on the document button, you're going to be directed in our Sophia search tool or in the article. I'll show you some example. If there's an article that you don't find, you can always use our interlibrary loan service that is free. So I'll show you a bit further where to find the information about that. Okay, so this is an example of an electronic article for which we searched with the title here in Compendex. Compendex, I spoke a little bit about it before. It's the engineering database that we have access to. It's a really good database. And we search the article, we click on the document button, and we have here this screen here with those two options, download PDF and article link. So that means we have the access to the article, so you can choose your option and have access right away to the article. That was simple. But if it's a paper document, so we did the same thing in Compendex. We search with the title here, and we click on the document button, sorry, and we were directed in our Sophia search tool. And you have this option here That is not a really good translation, but it means that it's available from print journal. So this means we only have a print version of the journal. So when you click on this link here, you're going to be directed in the journal information here file. So you just have to go a bit further down the page and you have the call number here that you can take note of, or you can come at the library and we can help you find this journal. And if you're okay, and you can go, or you can go ahead to search for the journal by yourself, or we can help you, no problem, to search for the journal in the library. If you are not able to come at Polytechnique, you can also request to scan the article or a book chapter. It has to be to occur to be it has to follow the rules of the copyright law. Sorry, I forgot about the name in English. Because we have to follow this law. So if you do your request for an article, it will be okay, and a book chapter, usually it's okay. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate. You have our address here if you're not really sure if it follows the copyright law. Okay, so this is for a document that unfortunately we don't have. It happens, we don't have access to everything. So we did the same search in Compendex with the title here, and we were directed here, and we only have this option. So this is the interlibrary loan option. Before making the request for the interlibrary loan, we suggest you to have a look in Google Scholar, just to make sure your article is not published in open access. If it is, you'll have it right away, and you'll be able to continue your work. If not, you can use the interlibrary loan service. I'll show you where to find it. Okay, and you go on services, and you have here the interlibrary loan. So we have a new system this year, and it's really helpful because it works with your library account. So you can follow your request and everything in your library account. And it's a bit easier to make requests. Okay, so I'm going to leave the floor to Camille for the second part of this webinar.
Thanks, Clara. So you will give me the...
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so we had a little bit of time with Clara to look at how to get the full text of the documents that you're going to find. And now we're going to talk a little bit more about how to find the references. So we're going to start with the keyword search, and then after that we'll go on to the cited reference search. So understanding how information is organized at the library, which is what you just learned about, is going to help you make better decisions when you're searching for documents, which is what I'm going to show you now. So the first thing is, how do you choose which database you should be using for your keyword search? So the easiest way to figure that out is to go in the guide that is specific to your engineering topic. So we have guides on every type of engineering at the library. So here we have a screenshot of the physics engineering guide, and you can see that we have a little tab for journal and conference articles. So if you click on there, you'll get a list of all the databases that are suggested to find some articles in engineering physics. So for the session today, I'm going to use Compendex, which is a database that covers all fields of engineering. So it's a good choice if you're still not too sure which one to choose. Compendex, usually you will get some information on your topic using that one. So every database has a little bit like little quirks to it, so its own way of working. Today, what I'm going to show you should apply to pretty much any database that you might want to use. So hopefully you can apply what I'm going to show you to no matter the database that you choose. So before we jump into Compendex, the first thing that we need to do is to think about our topic and create a conceptual plan. So we need to structure our research, and the bonus is that afterwards I can apply my strategy to several other databases. So this is going to be a good way to work if ever you're in graduate school and you need to do a more thorough research. Or, maybe you go into Compendex and you're not quite finding what you need, and you might want to try a different database just to check that you're covering all your bases, basically. So kind of thinking about your research before you get into the database is a great way to go. So our subject that we're using as an example for today is the implementation of green roofs in urban areas. So I'm going to show you kind of the step-by-step of what you would do for an undergraduate level type of research. So one where you might only need a couple of articles on the topic. If you're at the graduate level, we do recommend that you take CAP 7005, which is our graduate level course that we teach at the library. We do an equivalent of 3 hours on this topic. So today we only have, about 25 minutes left to do this. So keep in mind, this is going to be like a quicker version. If you're a postdoc, if you can, please directly contact me. My email would be at the bottom of the slides. We do have a more advanced webinar on this topic that I can send to you that we recorded. So to get back to our research topic, first we want to basically separate it into concepts. So we have here our green roof, our urban areas, and the implementation. Green roof being the most important of all the concepts, the soul of my research. Then I have urban areas, which helps specify my search a little bit, and the implementation, which is kind of like the less important concept. So you will always have like a more important to less important concepts usually. And once we get that, since it's important to note that we don't all use the same vocabulary to talk about a subject, we do need to think about a series of keywords that could represent each of our concepts. So since there's many ways to express the same idea, this is really useful. So in databases, it's going to be important to make sure that you're covering all of the different ways that we could be talking about your subject. So here's an example of the type of work that you would be doing. We're going to look for keywords in English. So even if you speak other languages, you just have to do this in English. The reason why basically is because most of the databases are organized in English. So even if the articles that are contained within the database are in other languages, inside the database, the subject, the title, the abstract will be in English. So even if the article is in Chinese, you can use your keywords in English, and that will be the most efficient way to find the appropriate references. We do want to think about spelling variants. So here we can see green separated separated by roof, and we see it also together. So you might also want to look for spelling variants depending on the region. So we can think of British English versus American or Canadian English. So you want to think about all those spelling variations. One other thing is the use of truncations. So I'm going to go into a little bit more of detail about truncations later, but we do see that it's these little stars right here. And what it's going to help us do is find the singular and the plural and maybe some like all the words from the same family using a root word. So once we've done all of that work, we then can combine our keywords for the same concept with the Boolean operator or. So this means that we can interchange between either green roof with a space or without a space, or vegetable roof. They would all go under the same basket if we can say it that way. Then we want to combine each of our concepts with the Boolean operator and this means that the results list that we will obtain will be at the intersection of those three concepts, which are green roof, urban areas, and implementation. You will probably find other keywords in while you're searching. So as you're finding relevant articles, you're going to read, maybe the introduction or maybe just the abstract, and you will probably find some new interesting keywords. So you can add them in to your conceptual plan, and it will evolve as you're searching. Another way to find some keywords if you're needing a little bit more help, let's say, and which is normal, we don't necessarily think about all the keywords ourselves. A tool that you can use is Termium Plus. So this is a free tool that's made by the government of Canada. We do use it as well to translate terms from English to French to Spanish, but you can also use it, as you can see here with the example of the wind turbines, to find complementary keywords for one concept. So this is a really great way to find multiple keywords for your concepts, ones that maybe you wouldn't have thought about at first. So that's one strategy that you can use to have a better search. The next two, let's go see them. So the next two is a truncation. So truncation, which I've already talked about quickly, uses the little star symbol. This will replace one or more letters in a word, and it will help you to find kind of different endings to that word. So we have an example here. Vegeta will find vegetables, vegetable, and vegetative. So, or vegetation, for example. So this is super useful. The next tool that you can use is the exact expression. So exact expression usually will refine your search a little bit. It will give you a little bit less results, but it's going to give you more precise results. So you can use quotation marks in between the words that you're looking for, and the database will find them basically only when they're together. So instead of having wind made from a ventilation system that is powered by whatever, you will just find wind power stuck together. So this is very useful to find more pertinent articles. Okay, so next we're going to go into Compendex and I'm going to show you how to actually put your keywords into the database and all of that. So I'm in another guide here. I'm in the industrial engineering guide. And as you can see, I do have again the journal and conference article tab. And my first choice of database is Compendex. So we'll click on that. I have to sign into my proxy. And we can see that we have our basically like our search engine that is there. If I click here on add search field, I can add multiple boxes, and this is going to be a great way to structure your research. So for today, we're using the quick search, which is a little bit easier to use. And you can see that for each of the boxes, we'll be able to put one of our concepts. So this is quite useful. So here, let's say I'll put my green roof concept in the first box here. And so I can specify in which fields I want to find my keywords. So the field that we do suggest is the subject, title, and abstract field. So this will actually look in the scientific content. Instead of looking, for example, in like the author affiliation or the journal name, which are fields that contain complementary information that can be useful, but not really to find articles on your topic. So let's go ahead and put the search index to subject, abstract, and title. And I'm going to add, starting with maybe just 2 concepts, just so I can look at what the results are and I can adapt my search depending on what I find. Make sure that you're using one database at a time when you're searching, especially in Compendex, just because there's going to be like doubles of results, and the results list doesn't really kind of use it very well. So it's just easier to figure out what your results are if you go one database at a time. Then you can also refine by date. So let's say we want some newer articles. We can specify 2015, for example. And once that's done, we can click on our search and we can go and see how many search results we get. So we do have quite a large number of results here, about 1,200 results. So this, it's a pretty good, pretty clear research. And if you're only looking for a couple of articles on the topic, you can definitely use the relevance sorting order and look at the 2-3 first pages, identify a couple of articles that would be useful to you, and you can stop your search there. If you're looking to really analyze your results, check that you didn't make any mistakes. In that case, it would be better to actually use the date sorting order, and this will help you see if you're getting some weird results in the list. Then you can look at what's wrong and try to correct a little bit your query up here. So those are the 2 sorting orders that you could use. If ever we decided that 1,200 results was a little bit too much, this is when we could incorporate our third concept. So we can add another search field here, specify subject, title, abstract, and we had the concept before of the implementation of the green roofs. And I'm going to show you another example of maybe a more specific subject that you could be interested in. I'm going to choose the cold climates. So how do you do a green roof in a cold climate city? So I've added keywords like North American climates, cold climates. I've also added just Canada, province names, and city names. So if I search with these new keywords in mind, you can see that I've drastically limited my results to about 99 results. So by adding more concepts, you'll have less results, but you'll have a more precise search query. So that's kind of the way to do that. If we decided that we had too little results, there's 2 options of how we could tweak our query. So the first thing would be to try to add as many keywords in each of the boxes as possible, obviously that relate to each of our concepts. So in the last concept here, the geographical concept, I could add extra cities, extra provinces. I could try to find some more keywords relating to cold climate, maybe like freeze proof or something. Then in the first 2 subjects here, I could also try and find some other keywords. So that's the first option. Second option would be to kind of look at each of my boxes and make sure that I didn't make any mistakes. So like spelling mistakes, or maybe I forgot to add one of the Boolean operators between 2 of my keywords. These are little mistakes that could cause you to lose some results. And then once you've done all of that, then the next thing you can do to expand your search is obviously to remove one of the keywords. So I could remove here once again my concept, and you can see I get back to a higher number of results. So really this is something that you'll be able to do once you test out your keywords in the database. It's like the second part to make sure that you have a good query that you're working on. And the last thing I wanted to show you in Compendex was the search history tool. So if you've done a couple of different searches and you're trying to compare them, you can use the search history option here to kind of like compare all the different queries that you've done and choose which one you'd like to keep. So all the tools that I showed you in Compendex, you'll be actually able to apply them in another database. So I do have an example here from another database called Web of Science. And you can see that I've used the same method with my boxes. I've added all my keywords for each, and instead of using the search index that we saw before, I actually in Web of Science have the option of searching with the index topic, which is basically the same as the one that we saw in Compendex. So when I search for the exact same keywords in Web of Science, I get about 200 results. So I can look at those results and maybe I will find some articles that were not in Compendex. And just to get back to the reason why we don't suggest Sophia for keyword searching is that if I use the exact same keywords in Sophia, same type of search, as you can see here, I get about 1 million results or more. So it's really hard to go through 1 million search results to be able to find the right documents that will actually help you in your research. So that's why we do suggest these specialized databases for article searching. Okay, so that was everything for the keyword search. Do we have any questions so far?
No, no question.
No questions so far. So now we can get on to searching by citation. So searching by citation is a really interesting way to do research. Oops, I'm going too far now. Okay, so a cited reference search is a great way to find articles that are pertinent, and it's pretty easy to do. But you do need to start with one article that is on your topic and is very relevant. So once you have that one article, then you can kind of go through the evolution of the research. So if you look at the references of that article, you'll find some older articles that the scientists used to build their research. So that would be looking at the references. Now, there are tools that you can use, two databases. One is Web of Science, which I just showed you very quickly before. The other is Google Scholar. And for both of these databases, I can actually go look at which articles that are newer have cited the article that I already know about. So this is called a cited reference search. So I'll just show you quickly what that looks like in Web of Science if we go back to our Web of Science. So let's say we found a really interesting article that had a lot of citations here. If I click on it, I do have access to the number of references. If I click here, I have all the references that are in the actual article that I found. But if I click on the citations here, I actually get a list of all of the articles that cited the article that I was interested in. So, and you can see that uh, as my first article that I found was, I think, from 2006, this one is actually from 2022. So we're getting super up-to-date, accurate research. So a very interesting way as well to do your searches for new articles. So you can use Web of Science or Google Scholar for this. So for more information on how to do the cited reference search, you can go look at our library guide, Finding Scientific Articles. There is a tab on the cited reference search, and you can actually, there's pretty much going to be like a full section on what we talked about today, how to do the keyword search and everything in that guide. So it's a really great recap that you can use. If you want to go a little bit farther in your research, we do have a video on the expert mode for Compendex. Today we use the quick search, which is a little bit easier to use, but you have a little bit less control. There is also a video on how to optimize your research. So we kind of did a base search today, and there's ways that you can go even further into customization of your results. So those videos are going to be linked in the slideshow if ever you're interested. And that's going to be all for the webinar today. So unless you have any questions, which we can wait a couple minutes to see if there's anything. If not, if maybe you want to ask your questions privately, you can write us either at biblio@polymtl.ca, or you can contact me directly if you have more advanced questions. You can use the chat as well to ask us questions, and you can follow us on social media if you want to see what new webinars we will offer in the future. So that's all for me for today.
I think it's all good. So thank you and have a good day, everyone.